What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 now of the Zykel Show. Holy shit. We're actually
getting up there.
We are definitely getting up there. Make sure you follow us on all our social medias. We didn't shout this out last time, so I'm going to make sure I do it today. Our TikTok's kind of blowing up, but we all have a TikTok, we have a Snapchat, we have an Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that. So make sure you follow us at the Zykel Show. We've been a lot more
active.
Definitely a lot more active lately. We've been really trying to do that for you guys.
We posted 3 TikToks yesterday. Please go check them all out.
Absolutely. We posted 3 videos in the last 2 days. Well, I guess when you see this video, it'll be 3 videos in the last couple days, but this video will be up on Wednesday. Make sure you go check out those. We're doing more clips on our YouTube channel, and then we're going to finally be having our next podcast. Well, this podcast will be up on iTunes. So if you're listening on iTunes, thank you so much. We're getting off of the Podbean and getting onto iTunes, trying to get a little bit more official with that. We're trying to increase our production quality. We're moving, like we said in the last episode, so that's going to take a little toll on what's going to be playing or coming in play next week. So we pushed that move date back a little bit. So keep in mind that if we don't post 1 or 2 videos on like a Wednesday or a Friday or a Monday or whatever, it's just because we're moving. We'll get those videos up soon. We'll get back on track with better production. We're going to be buying a lot of stuff for the show when we move into our new apartment and kind of creating a room for it, so it should be a lot better. So yeah, thanks for sticking with us. But again, this is the Zykel Show with your co-host Zach and your other co-host Michael.
Well, that's actually
Zach,
wrong, but
that's Zach. This is Michael.
If you don't know that by now. But...
Yeah, we have premium coverage on sports and music content. Zach, so kick it off with the first sports topic today. What are we talking about?
So the first sports topic we're going to talk about today is going to be The Last Dance, as it will be all of our Wednesdays until, 2 Wednesdays after this will be our last one, because that's when the show will stop.
Yeah.
But we just watched episodes 5 and 6. The main points we're going to talk about those today. The main one that I want to start getting into is something that's kind of been known about him for a long time. Is not his gambling issue, but how much gambling played a role in Michael Jordan's career. In this current not the current episode, but episode 5, they talked about a lot of his gambling issues, and they talked about how he had all these bets with not all these bets with all these sketchy people. There was one dude in particular, I can't remember his name, but he had golf bets with him, and it was this dude that went to jail for money laundering and drugs and stuff like that. So there was a huge controversy. He got cleared from it. David Stern, they did an interview with him, and he was like, should he have been gambling all that money? Probably not, but listen, he's got the money for it. He never bet against himself, never for himself. He didn't pull a Pete Rose.
So he only bet on himself.
Yeah, well, he never bet on games, because if you bet on games, he always bet on himself and other things other than basketball.
Yes,
he never bet
yes.
on basketball.
Yeah, no.
Because if he bet on basketball, he's 100% no longer the GOAT in some people's minds. He wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame like Pete Rose probably. It would be a whole thing. But and then if you also look back, will be something that we also talk about, but if you look back in that Knicks series in the 1992 series when he was doing all that kind of stuff and all the media attention was going around him and all this kind of stuff, and him and his dad and a couple of friends went to Atlantic City. Everyone says they were out till 2:30. Michael Jordan claims in the documentary he was only out till 1. Phil Jackson didn't see a problem with it. Phil Jackson's always Phil Jackson obviously didn't have a problem with it, because years later he let Dennis Rodman go to Las Vegas for 2 whole days during the season, and then he wasn't even gone for 2 whole days. He was gone for a week. So obviously that's great. Michael Jordan talked about in the documentary how Phil Jackson was always really good about letting them take time off. When you're in that spotlight, like Michael Jordan also was, he was the world at that point. Because also with 1992, that was the dream team, everything going on. He was the world. So he was seen as this dude that didn't have any problems in the world, that he was this role model and things like that. He even admitted in the thing, he's like, I wish I wasn't a role model. He's like, you know how hard that is to live up to? He was so upset about having to live literally inside of his hotel room. He had, everywhere he went, he had to have bodyguards pushing people away and stuff. So I don't blame him for the whole gambling thing. I wouldn't have done it personally. I don't like spending my money that kind of way. But I understand that some people need a release. People do different things. Some people smoke to get a release. Some people do other things. He gambles. That's just how he released. That's how he got away from the pressures
I don't know
of
if
life.
it's necessarily I don't know if it was the gambling that got him. Obviously he liked gambling. He had so much money he didn't even know what to do with. And I think I kind of looked at his gambling issue per se. I looked at it as he just wanted to put more pressure on himself so he could do better at the other things in his life. Does that make sense? When he's golfing, he doesn't want to just golf for fun. He doesn't want to do anything for fun. He wants to do something with something on the line at all time and put pressure on him. so he can compete at the highest level no matter what he does.
I mean,
You know
he
what
was even betting like $20 on seeing who could get a quarter closer to the wall with all the security team. Like, he was betting on anything and everything at all times just because that's just how competitive he was. And maybe to people, like, I'm competitive.
Like,
but
he didn't want to win.
like
he didn't just want to win.
dominate.
He wanted to dominate, and he wanted to get something from you. He wanted proof that he beat you in some way and in some aspect. And I think that was more where the gambling came from. Like he said, he could stop gambling whenever he wanted. It wasn't like,
he never bet his house. He didn't bet his...
Yeah, he didn't bet things that he actually needed. He bet money. And he
didn't bet his championship rings.
Obviously, he bet a ton of money, but to him, like in the documentary, like they said, $10,000 to him is like $10 to me and you.
Yeah.
You know? So he didn't... Especially towards the end of his career, $10 was a lot less than that when he was getting his $30-something million, which is still a big contract nowadays.
And that was
a
back
lot of NBA.
He was making $30-something million, and the next close to me.
That's not even his most money. It was the Jays. You know what I mean? When they said they wanted to sell $3 million, they sold like $100-something million.
They said that they projected to sell like $3 million within the first year, and they sold like $126 million.
Something like that in the first year.
Insane.
So he had more money to know what to do with. I don't think the gambling was a huge problem. I just think he wanted to compete for something. I don't think he ever wanted to compete for fun. And I think money was something he had a lot of that he could compete with. But he wasn't giving away or gambling anything that was like so precious to him, or gambling anything that he worked for or he needed to live or anything.
Yeah, nothing that was going to ruin his life.
And they talked about his wife a lot in the documentary, and she's not in it at all. But
not yet.
If he had a gambling issue, I think that, because they were
something would
talking
have came out, their marriage would have been in turmoil.
Yeah. I think something might have came out about that. So I think behind the scenes, the gambling issue was not as bad as people made it seem like. And he went on that entire media silence with that, came back, did that one interview to talk about it one more time, and it was
wore sunglasses, which I don't think you should have done, because
made it a little bit
If you're
worse.
going to be in a boat where everyone's like, oh, you're always out too late, you're doing this kind of stuff, what are you doing when you're gambling, and then you're going to wear sunglasses, usually you only wear sunglasses.
Because his eyes are like yellow, bro.
Not back then though, not as bad.
Yeah, but
nowadays,
they're looking weird, bro.
Yeah, that's what cigars will do to you. But I mean,
yes.
even if to talk about how his, not his reputation got tarnished, but even if you look at the Jordan rules that got written, all that stuff that Sam, I can't remember what his last name was, that dude that wrote that book about him.
Yeah.
He wrote all that stuff, and he was like, listen, he's like, it hurt. Like, it was a lot of things that people, and Michael Jordan had such a squeaky clean image, and he was like, when I put this book out saying all the things that he said the teammates telling, like, Michael Jordan, he said that Michael Jordan used to tell teammates that if you pass the ball to a certain player, I will not pass you the ball in a game. Not that he ever would anyways. But, like, how are you supposed to feel on your team that, like, what if you have the ball and there's 5 seconds left on the clock, Michael Jordan's double team, but the dude that he told you never to pass the ball to is wide open in the corner for a 3? Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to pass it to Michael Jordan just because of what he told you, but you should, if you're LeBron, who is the GOAT and who thinks that way, pass it to the open guy. You pass it to the open guy. You don't pass it to the dude that's double team. You pass it to the open guy with the open shot. Yeah. And I just think that I think it's surprising that the team was able to do all those kind of things, even with Michael Jordan being like, this,
well,
that.
I think the leadership style worked back then. I don't think that would work today. You know what I mean? Like, I do not think his leadership style in today's NBA.
If you put him if you put him at his rookie year in LeBron's shoes in 2003 with those Cavs team, and if Michael Jordan came in with that philosophy and treated that team that way, I don't think it would have been that way. I think the only reason that worked with his philosophy is that their front office was so smart about who they wanted to put around Michael, and putting people around him that would adapt to him. But if he came in the first year doing all that kind of stuff, saying all those kind of things to that kind of team with that kind of ownership and that kind of stuff, I don't think that would have flied. I think he was put in a very good situation. Not that he's not a great basketball player, not the greatest in my opinion. But I think he was in a good situation.
To change the team immediately either. He
did, but I think what he did was in a good way at the start.
Yeah.
But because I mean, if you think about it, he said back in 1995, he said he knocked on everyone's door, couldn't find anyone. Knocked on one door, everyone was in there doing coke, smoking weed, drinking, chicks.
They
everywhere.
wanted him in there with him, and he walked away.
He said no, and I think that shows a lot of character. But
and going back to the gambling one more time, just to bring it back up. He didn't know he was, like, at the time when he was golfing with those people, he didn't know that they were like that. He didn't know that they had legal issues and all of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even when he owed them a ton of money, when he lied to the media, that's, I think, what made it look way worse. But he admitted to it a little bit later, and he was like, listen, I had all this stuff in the media going on. I didn't want it to blow up even more. He's like, I owed him that money. He had that money. He sent them the money. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, it did look suspicious, and how it happened looked suspicious, but seeing how he talked about it, I don't think it was as bad. It's definitely not as bad as they made it out to be. He came back in that series against the Knicks, and I think the only reason it was a big deal is because they were losing. You know what I mean? They were losing those 2 games. Everyone was saying, oh, you're quitting on the Bulls. You're thinking about something else other than the Bulls right now in basketball and winning this championship, blah, 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 this and that, whatever.
Yeah.
But he got past it. He still won the series. So
had a magnificent Game 3 that went to triple overtime. You score 44 points. Okay, that's still a good... And my favorite thing about this documentary, and I love the documentary. I think it's a great thing. I think it opens a lot of people's eyes. It's great for me, who's someone who didn't see Michael Jordan play. But everyone's saying out of this, oh, everyone's gonna think MJ is the GOAT, this and that. I've seen a Twitter video where it made Alec Caruso look like the GOAT, because if all you do is piece together highlights and do stuff, you're gonna make someone look like they're this and that. And when
he kind of was.
Yeah, in that time especially, and some people still think he is to this day. Usually an overwhelming majority at some points, but when they show his stat line, they only talk about the points. They don't talk about the assists. They don't talk about They either talk about steals, defending, or his points. They don't talk about anything else.
And he didn't even shoot the last shot to win. Okay, no. He didn't even shoot the last shot to win the series. Got a really easy layup, so that was good. But it was a wide open layup that he hit to be down by 2. And then they passed the ball, and then obviously Paxson hit that thing for a 3. No one even talks about that. Everyone's like, Jordan's clutch, this and that. Dude, they could have lost that series if Paxson misses that shot. You know what I mean? That would have been going to a Game 7. That could have been the first 3-1 upset. Charles Barkley didn't outplay Michael Jordan, but
he played a pretty good series.
He played almost like an incredulous series. Like, he played ridiculously well. So no one really talks about that. That kind of got on my nerves. But other than that, yeah, I definitely think they need to talk about the other aspects of his game more. They don't even really talk about his defense much. When they talk about defense, it's Scottie Pippen's defense.
They talk about his defense, but they don't talk about numbers. They always he was a great defender. And obviously he won all his accolades.
Even the Olympics, though, they always talk about how Scottie Pippen played like the biggest defense on that guy. You know, Michael Jordan wasn't as...
Well, they both...
But you could tell Michael Jordan respected that guy a lot more than Scottie Pippen did, and he was like, oh, okay, he's actually playing... Like, you have to understand, this guy's playing against the best players in the entire world right now. Like, and he's... he got 4 points, then he got 16 points the next game, which isn't crazy stat lines, but he's playing against the best player in the world, and then he became their teammate and became...
But that's a 400% increase, so that's pretty good, especially when you're going against a team that's
but even 16 points is like... That's like some player role-playing numbers, but... They destroyed him, so you can't really ask for more. But Scottie Pippen apparently was way harder on that guy, like on the court, than Michael Jordan was on the defensive end.
But I think that kind of sums up everything that's going on with The Last Dance.
Sure.
There was some more things that were covered, obviously, but if you guys want to know more about it, obviously just give it a check. It comes out every Sunday, 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. If you're like us and you don't watch it the night of and you wait until the next day and you go on YouTube TV will let you watch it the day after, which is blessed, or Hulu. Awesome. But I think we're going to move into our next topic. We're going to move more into the NFL sector. This is kind of one that it happens all the time, but it's still really good news. Marshawn Lynch re-signing. I love Marshawn. He keeps bouncing around. I think he's a fantastic running back. Him and his agent are in talks with Seattle right now.
And it wasn't confirmed that he was coming back, but everyone thought he was going to come back anyway. I remember.
He said on ESPN or on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt that he is in talks with the Seattle about making a new contract, and I think that's great. I think Marshawn embodies so much of what Seattle was back in the day, and obviously his connection to Oakland. Obviously, he's an Oakland kid, but he loved Seattle, and Seattle embraced him with open arms when he left. Like, he got drafted to Buffalo. Buffalo was okay. He had a great career in Buffalo. But then when he went out to Seattle, he really made his own. In 2005, that Beastquake... no, that wasn't 2005. I think that was 2000.
His most famous run is still...
The Beastquake.
It
was 2010. That was the Beastquake. It was the year after the Saints won the Super Bowl because they stuck in with a losing record in the playoffs and beat the Saints. And that was crazy.
Yeah.
But, like, just that Beastquake and all the incredible runs he's had over his career. Like, you look at Marshawn and you're just... He's so much of what you wouldn't expect him to be. When you look at his physique, I wouldn't think, oh, Hall of Fame running back, in my opinion. I think he's going to go to the Hall of Fame.
I kind of do because he's so big. He's ripped. He's bigger than other people. He's getting older, obviously now. Like,
but when you
he
think of
probably
a dude
shouldn't be
eating a
playing in
bunch
the
of
league
Skittles
anymore
on the sideline,
yeah.
You wouldn't think that he's over there bulldozing people. And
I think he just does that for a public image. I think he actually eats well and does all that stuff outside of. I think he does it for a public image. Like he loved, like he got out of the car and all like the Fruity Pebbles fell out. That was hilarious. Like when that was that coming back. That was also coming back to Seattle. That's when everyone thought he was coming back to Seattle anyway. So, but I don't know if he does that as much outside of the. I think.
But Marshawn's such like a good just like person to have in your locker room. Like he's very quiet. He's very quiet in the media. But I mean, the last thing he said when he was with Oakland and was talking to like all these young players and stuff. Like he's a very intelligent guy.
Everyone loves him.
He's very soft spoken, but he seems like a very intelligent and nice guy. Like a lot of people maybe outside, maybe a lot of people out in the. Well, to the media he is. I think to his team he's not.
He doesn't speak.
When it comes to the public, I think a lot of people in the public are kind of like, oh, he's kind of standoffish, doesn't want to talk to people.
He's kind of like a dick.
But I think if you walked into that locker room, I guarantee you, everyone. I know Russell Wilson loves him to death, so I know that he's a good thing.
And you can see in interviews that he's actually
even if you
super dope.
Even if you only use him on the 2-yard line to run the ball, which you didn't do in the past, but if you want to start doing that now, go ahead because I guarantee you he's still good for 2 yards. Even if you only have him in for 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and goal, like. He'll probably come back on $2 million contract, maybe the vet minimum.
He probably won't even be the number one running back. He'll come in and
he'll be a third
if they're on the 1-yard line, they better run him this time, and I think they will.
He'll be there for blocking. He'll be there for short yardage. He's not there to cut the seam, and he's not there to.
He's more of a leader, locker room guy. He has the experience.
Which I think is super, super important. I think if you don't have a good locker room, then it's gonna fall apart. I mean, if you look around,
he knows how to be a long-term running back too.
With the Browns last year, I mean, they were supposed to be. Everyone thinks they're gonna win the Super Bowl. This is not. They had the talent to do it, but they just didn't have the right locker room. I think they had the right players, but they didn't have the right coaching. Like you need everybody from the head to the bottom to be on the same page if you're going to win a championship. So I think it's a great ad for Seattle. More a little bit of NFL news. They're not going to be playing international games this year. I think everyone really saw that coming just because with all the Corona stuff. Even if tomorrow they came out and said, "Oh, Corona's completely dead," this kind of stuff. I think it's just letting the world heal, letting the world figure out what they want to do. Let us figure out what we're doing at home. I think all states are all nations are not necessarily going to be in an isolation kind of mode like we were after World War II, but I think every place needs its own little time to heal. So I think the NFL made a smart move, just keeping all the games inside of there. They'll obviously still be telecasted. The people that wanted to watch the games will still be able to watch the games. I'm sure the NFL will do something special, do some overseas stuff. I think it's smart for them not to do that.
I do not think we're going to be playing NFL games for years, for probably 2 more years. I don't think it's going to be this year. I don't think it's going to be the year.
I think they're going to let them play, but they're not going to let.
Almost every company in the world is still going to be wearing face masks for up to 2 years. I know Walgreens has already said up to 2 years. All employees have, you know what I mean. A lot of people are putting it on that.
That's all subject to change, though. That's just them making.
No, they've already made legit 100%. We are 100% wearing face masks for 2 years. There's been a ton of companies that come out saying that.
Well, but
I wouldn't be surprised with the amount of people that are crammed in those stadiums and travel and all of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they wait a couple years before there's international games going.
International, yes, but
not here.
I thought you meant all in general.
No. We were talking about international, so that's what I'm talking about. But not NFL games. Obviously, I think we're gonna have a season this year. I'm guessing
they're gonna be played, but I don't think there's gonna be fans in the stands until probably halfway through.
Yeah.
I think that would be smart. I think, especially with how much money they make, and they're such a big brand that if they mess this up, it could be really, really bad. So I think it'd be smart just be like, hey, play the game, but just don't have people in the stands. I obviously understand that's going to hurt the players because obviously having those fans in the stands, because they played the one baseball game they played in Baltimore after that big shooting where there was no one in the stands. They're like, dude, you could hear everything. It makes a whole different atmosphere if you don't have fans there. And that's coming from. I used to play high school rec basketball. You know, there's a difference when there's 0 people in the stands and there's 4 people.
Do you know how weird that is? Difference. Do you know how weird that's gonna be?
Oh yeah, everything echoes. Everything.
Dude, it's gonna be so freaking weird watching a game where the offense and defense are just playing against each other and calling out stuff. You're gonna hear so many people talk. Dude, the amount of cusses you're gonna hear and cursing and all that you're gonna hear on that field. Oh, just imagine basketball with no people.
Just imagine football when someone's getting clobbered.
Oh yeah, but
but
in basketball, dude, you're inside, so that echoes through the whole thing more than even a football stadium. You hear that very, very clearly.
I'm excited to hear.
It's gonna be weird.
I'm excited to hear a huge scrummish on the bottom. just like them screaming at each other. You're like, whoa, chill, chill.
Yeah. Hey, relax, man.
You couldn't hear that before, but man, because the things that happen
That's
in
gonna
those
be
piles of
nuts. You're gonna be able to hear the coaches talking to their teams from the other team.
You're gonna be able to like probably hear the quarterback, like you know how like at the Pro Bowl, like they put the mic on the quarterback so you can hear the play calls. Like you'll probably be able to hear like all the audibles, all that. You'll be able to hear everything.
Yeah, and you can almost hear that with the fans. So imagine how loud they're gonna have to scream without the fans, and how.
Yeah, and I feel bad for
hear
teams that are so used to like having like loud fan noise and stuff like Seattle, like that. They have such a home field advantage for them having all their fans in the stand, which obviously could not. Maybe NFL does let fans in the stands, but I don't think they will at the start. A little bit more of new stadium news. The little baby Clippers, the ones that are sleeping in the basement of the Lakers because LeBron's there. Steve Ballmer, their owner, finally bought a stadium. He bought it for $400 million. It's called the Forum. I don't like that name per se. I won't go into why I don't like that name, but I just don't like that name. So Steve Ballmer, he bought the stadium. I think that's a great move for his brand and for his team, just because they have always been known as the little baby stepchild to the Lakers and this kind of stuff because they always
will
share
be
the same.
Always
core.
will be.
So I think it's really smart for them. I think especially with the big upgrades that they made with their team and how they're trying to push for a championship. I think that's super important. I understand why teams split stadiums and things like that. It's a huge cost. And just the pure size of things, like in the city of Cincinnati, if we had a basketball team come in, I don't know where the hell we'd put them. We'd have to put them so far out. Like with FC Cincinnati coming in, their training facilities in Milford, which is a pretty decent away from Cincinnati, and then their stadium's still, I think, within Cincinnati's limits, but it's on like the outskirts. So I just think it's hard for them to do all these kind of things, but I think it's really cool. I don't even know where I don't think the stadium's inside of LA, is it?
I
think it's right outside of LA.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great thing.
Well, whatever happens with the stadium, everyone needs to realize, and I know Skip Bayless is going to start freaking out about their new stadium and all this and that. It does not make them a better team.
No.
Like, it does not make them a better team at all. They're still going to be known in LA as the baby Lakers. They're not going to ever take that big brother like the
until they
Lakers
win
are
a
now.
champion.
No, they're never going to. They're never going to. Do you know how the history that the Lakers have? If they start winning for the next 50, 60 years straight, maybe.
Well,
but,
no, I mean, I think they'll always be lesser in the long haul. But if you think about it, like just now, like if the Clippers,
I'm talking about as a franchise, just because they got their old new stadium, they're still going to be looked at as like I don't think the new stadium's going to distinguish them from the Lakers as much as people think it's going to.
It will definitely distinguish them, but I think. Because, I mean, if you think about what the Lakers, they haven't won anything since what?
It'll distinguish them, but not as much as people think it's going to.
But if the Clippers went on they won 2 championships in 3 years, 2 championships in 5 years, and the Lakers are just doing nothing. Like if for some reason if LeBron got hurt, knocking on wood, or if for some reason they just never won a championship and the Clippers start winning, then maybe we could. I think it would just take a lot for them to.
We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see the stadium though. You know what I mean? I think it's.
I won't be done for another 2 or 3 years.
No, not for a while. But I'm excited to see the stadium. I'm excited for what it's going to look like. It's going to be brand new.
I'm excited for the first year that they're in there when LeBron comes in there and sweeps their ass in the conference finals. 2 years from now, don't worry about it.
We'll see what happens in 2 years. Hopefully LeBron.
No, this is my prediction right now. LeBron will sweep Kawhi's sorry ass 2 years from now. Whatever round they meet in, LeBron is going to win that. And LeBron will make so many commercials coming back at Kawhi when Kawhi was like, "Oh, this is my town," this kind of stuff.
I hope he does. I hope Space Jam references it. Space Jam New Legacy, baby. Let's go. Yeah, I can't wait. So. Shout out to the Space Jams.
But yeah, so I think that's going to be the end for our sports segment today. Obviously, just please make sure you guys go follow our YouTube channel, hopefully our iTunes here in the next coming days, our TikTok, our Instagram, our Snapchat.
Yeah, subscribe, like the video, share it with everybody you know. Get us spread around your
If anyone has LeBron's phone number, send it to him.
Drake's phone number. We'll talk about that later. But
if anyone has Chubb's phone number, hit me up. I would love that. But that's going to be the end for the sports section. Thank you guys for listening.
Yep. See you guys.